All right, so I just got back from seeing 2022's Pray for the Devil, directed by Daniel Stem, who is known for directing one episode of Fear the Walking Dead, one episode of the Scream TV show, as well as 2010's The Last Exorcism. So he does have experience with the exorcism type of movie. The screenplay here is by Robert Zappia, who wrote the screenplay for Halloween H2O. Definitely not regarded as one of the better Halloween movies, that's for sure. And three animated knockoffs of popular animated movies, such as Tappy Toes, which is a clear knockoff of Happy Feet. You got Puss in Boots, A Furry Tale, which, pretty self-explanatory. And Chop Kick Panda, which is obviously supposed to be Kung Fu Panda. So yeah, reading that going into the movie, I was like, oh yikes, we got somebody who's known for writing crappy knockoff movies, so yeah, there you go. The story is by Robert Zappia and Todd R. Jones, as well as Earl Ritchie Jones, which all three of them have worked on a project called Buddies from 1996. So they do have experience working with each other, which is sometimes a good thing. But yeah, the whole knockoff movie thing, I still can't get past that. That's something I was not expecting when I looked up the IMDb for the writers of this movie. So it had me, I wouldn't say worried going in, because I had little to no expectations for this movie, but it definitely had me a little nervous, I won't lie. The cast here, we have Jacqueline Byers as Sister Anne, who I will say immediately, I thought she was really good in this movie. I don't know if I've seen her in anything else. I didn't really look that up, but I would, excuse me, hiccups. I'd be more than happy to watch another movie with her in it, because I thought, even with the not so great writing in this movie, she still did stand out. We also have Virginia Madsen as Dr. Peters, Colin Salmon as Father Quinn, who actually was on Arrow for a little bit. I think his name was Walter, so it was cool to see him in here. I thought he was a pretty good actor in here as well. Ben Cross as Cardinal Matthews. We have Nicholas Ralph as Father Raymond, and Christian Navarro from, a lot of people would probably recognize him as, oh shoot, I can't remember his name on the show, but he was on 13 Reasons Why. But he plays Father Dante, and that's pretty much the main cast of the movie here. But yeah, it's basically an exorcism type of movie. You have the character of Sister Anne, who basically, you have these, I don't know how much of this is true, but basically the Vatican set up these different, like, places for people to study exorcisms and deal with possessed people and whatnot. So the nuns in this situation are basically nurses for possessed people, which I thought was kind of interesting there. I don't know if that is a real thing or not. In fact, a lot of this movie, if you're like a, very, very faithful person in terms of, like, being a Catholic or anything like that, I'm pretty sure this is, like, Catholic people. I don't know. I'm ignorant when it comes to religion, but that being said, in this movie, I didn't really see too many issues, but at the same time, if somebody who were Catholic or very religious saw this movie, they'd be like, oh, there's so many things that are just so completely wrong in this movie. But for me personally, that didn't bother me, the realism of it, because, I mean, do I believe in demons and whatnot? I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know. So a lot of it to me just kind of seems made up, I guess you could say. But yeah, they do some interesting things with the possessed people, having them do very creepy things. The thumbnail of this video is actually one of the characters in here. What's her name? I actually have it written down. Posey Taylor as Natalie, who is the main person they're dealing with in terms of possessed people in this movie. She's a little girl. I forget exactly how old they said she was, maybe like 10 or something like that. But yeah, she's the main girl they're dealing with. And the thumbnail there is her covering her eyes. You see these little red dots show up on her hands and maggots start coming out and shit. She's like crawling on the walls and whatnot. They do a lot of really creepy imagery with the possessed people in this movie, and I think it works for the most part with that creepy imagery. The problem is, at times it feels like they're being creepy for the sake of being creepy, and also kind of add things in there that don't really feel necessary, and just, wow, not sure what that was. But some things that just don't feel necessary, and just added to maybe fill the runtime and just add a little creep factor to it. So there was one scene in particular that I'm thinking about where, and it kind of is drawn out a little bit, where Sister Anne is in this room and there's somebody covered up with a cloth, and she like unreveals it or whatever. You find out it's a dream, which is like, it's fine, it's a dream or whatever, but I don't know, it's an hour and 33 minutes, and oftentimes in this movie, and this, the movie I reviewed yesterday, A Quiet Place, is about an hour and 30 minutes, and, these are very different movies, but the same time, the same thing is the runtime is so similar, yet A Quiet Place feels rather short after rewatching it, and this one feels, I wouldn't say painstakingly long, but it does feel like it dragged on a lot, which is surprising for a movie that's basically only an hour and a half long with credits. So there's so many different ideas that they have in this movie. There's so many different things going on where it just doesn't feel, I mean, there's little things that they set up throughout the film that come back later, but it doesn't really feel completely earned because they just keep going from thing to thing so quickly that you can't really retain too much of the knowledge that they're trying to drop on you. You got to pay a lot of attention to, text and stuff that people are reading and whatnot. There's like little details in there that might make it better, but they don't focus on them enough to actually make them feel earned at the end of the movie when everything comes together. I don't know. There's a lot of moments in here that just really do feel dragged on and just kind of thrown in there for the sake of being creepy. But overall, Jacqueline Byers as Sister Anne, I thought she was really good in this movie. She's a really good lead. I'm kind of in love with her, I can't lie. But yeah, I did think she was really good in this. Most of the actors in this movie did a good job. It's just the writing that they were given that wasn't as good. Things just kept happening, and you kept going from thing to thing without really focusing on the one thing that should be the main story. There's so many things going on in here where you got to deal with Father Dante's sister who's pregnant. You got to deal with this other old guy. You got to deal with the characters in here, the people that run this facility. I forget exactly what they called it, but there's a lot of things in here about, oh, you're a female, so there's things that you're doing that female nuns that they should not be doing. And they play with the norms a little bit, and it's just like there was something in here where she said something about, oh, there weren't like female doctors or female lawyers or something like that 20 plus years ago, and look at that now, things are changing. And sometimes that kind of message can be a little heavy-handed, but they don't really overdo it in this movie, so I appreciate that a little bit. I don't know. Just the character of Jacqueline Byers in general, or the character of Sister Anne played by Jacqueline Byers, even if the writing that they give her is shit, she still does a really good job with it. That's the biggest surprise from this movie for me, is how well she does with what little she's given. So, yeah, I commend her for that for sure. Colin Salmon as Father Quinn, he doesn't have a huge role. I mean, he's prominent, but I would say Christian Navarro as Father Dante and Jacqueline Byers as Sister Anne are the two main characters of this movie. Throw Natalie, played by Posey Taylor, in there. But they have these little reveals / plot twists. They have basically two, and those just kind of feel shoehorned in there for the sake of being like, oh my god, look at this. This is crazy. Look what we just did. Look at how crazy we are. There's a lot of moments in here that kind of feel like, oh, just look how crazy we are. Look what we did. Isn't that cool? And I'm just like, no, not really, because it just feels like you're pulling a million different things from a million different movies and just putting it all in one. So, I don't know. They had a kind of funny moment in here that wasn't necessarily supposed to be funny. In fact, it was supposed to be serious. But Sister Anne, she's like going through a computer or something like that, looking at people who have been possessed, and, all of them died. And you see the picture of them, and, shows that they went to the Vatican, and then it says deceased next to all of them. And I'm like, oh my god, they're literally doing the Incredibles thing. You remember that scene in Incredibles where like Mr. Incredible is looking at the computer and seeing all the dead superheroes and whatnot, and like seeing their status and they're all dead? That's basically what this was, but for possessed people. And I was like, oh my God, now that I saw that and I thought about that, I can't unthink it now. That's all I'm thinking about. And I thought that was kind of funny. I can't even lie. Yeah, let me see here. I already talked about the runtime being similar to A Quiet Place and how it really drags on, but just want to preface that a little bit more. This is really, by today's standards, is not a long movie whatsoever, but the feeling of it dragging on, because I was looking at my phone after a decent amount of stuff happened in the movie. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we still have, no pun intended there, we still have an hour left of this movie, and I feel like so much has already happened. And that's not always a bad thing, but it's about your movie being able to balance everything that they're showing, balance all these stories. It's only when a movie does that that it's actually good. Yeah, there might be a lot in it, but it can be good if you're good at balancing the amount of stuff that you put in here. For the most part, the movie, it balances the main kind of two things that they're trying to do here: the whole thing with Natalie, and then the whole thing with Sister Anne and her mom and the backstory of that. Those are the two main things they're juggling here. But then they add basically two, maybe three more other elements that just keep it simple, stupid. That's what I want to say. Keep it simple, stupid. A movie like this should have been a little bit more simple and a little less like, I don't know, because by the end of the movie, when you get to that climax, basically everything, like everything in the movie, not just like, oh, here's a couple things that were connected that you didn't know. No, like everything pretty much was all connected. And I'm like, that doesn't really feel completely necessary, but okay, I guess. I mean, you're committing to it at least, but I don't know. There's just elements in this movie that I felt like they could have cut out, but at that point, you'd have less than an hour and a half movie, and by today's standards, that's pretty much as short as movies get. So, there's a lot of stuff in there that just feels like they were filling the runtime. Wow. People love to make noise while I'm recording. I love that. But I pretty much said everything I wanted to say. I think so. Feels like yeah. I'm pretty sure that's everything. So that's really all I have to say about 2022's Pray for the Devil. Would I recommend it? Not really. But if you're in the mood to watch a Halloween movie or like a Halloween type scary movie, might be worth your time. Honestly, I would have preferred to see Terrifier 2, but I already planned to watch this movie for my 8 days of movie reviews or whatever for Halloween. And at that point, I was just like, see, if I'm going to go see Terrifier 2, I want to watch Terrifier 1. So maybe I'll get around to that after Halloween passes and all that. I'm planning on trying to catch up on some movies that I missed in the theaters. So maybe that'll be one of them, but I'm not completely sure. Might end up waiting until it comes out on digital. But if you are very much wanting me to review Terrifier 2, comment down below. If I get enough comments for it, I will do it. But yeah, Pray for the Devil overall, I'm going to have to give a 5 out of 10. I think the best thing this movie has going for it is its main actor, Jacqueline Byers as Sister Anne. I think she surprisingly does very well with this role with, again, what I said before, very, very little to, what did I say before? She does really well with what little she was given. So I think for her alone, I mean, some of the actors in here do a really good job. They just aren't given a whole lot, but for her especially, I think I'm going to have to give it that extra point. I think before I would have maybe given it a 4 out of 10, but if it weren't for her, it would be at that 4 out of 10. But for her performance alone and surprising me, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, So not the worst movie I've seen this year, but not the best. I've definitely seen much worse movies. I've definitely seen worse horror movies this year as well. Can I think of any right now? Not at the moment. The Invitation was kind of a horror movie, I guess you could say. That one sucked. Yeah, compared to this movie, compared to that one is a masterpiece for sure, but I really don't like that one. That was bad. Yeah, there's plenty of bad movies I've seen this year. it's probably not going to make my top 10. So if that tells you enough, there you go. But yeah, have you seen 2022's Pray for the Devil? What did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle? I definitely do not like it very much. I'm not going to be rewatching it, but there were a few surprises in there that I did quite enjoy. Some of the gore worked for me as well, some of the just creepy imagery. So there you go. Have you not seen the movie? Are you planning on watching it this Halloween season? Why or why not? I'm sure you're not, because most people aren't. There's probably a lot of other better movies to watch right now. Like, I'll tell you this right now. If you're looking for a good Halloween kind of scary movie to watch in the theaters in preparation for Halloween or on Halloween, go see Smile or Barbarian. Those are the two really good ones out right now that I would recommend. And if you're into gore, like hardcore gore, unlike any movie you've ever seen, I hear Terrifier 2 is the way to go. So, yeah, maybe I'll end up watching that one soon. I'm intrigued for sure. Definitely got to check it out. But yeah, there's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I should be back tomorrow with my review for A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is definitely one of my favorites. And then the day after, which will be Halloween, will be my review for 1996's Scream. So keep your eyes peeled for those, and I will see you in the next one.